invite that again. If you want to, you don't have to, but you can bring a journal to church. And, you could even bring a journal and act like you're, that I'm saying something important or something's hitting you. But you could also bring a journal to church to write those things down. And I have to admit, and I have to confess, that I used to do that a lot, and I haven't done it for like 12 years. I've done a lot of writing, but not necessarily journaling. But journaling is the whole idea of when that God wants to speak to you and to be inspired. Be inspired about what he is saying and when he is speaking to you. And that would be a great thing to take from church. So I got back into journaling, going through some books and stuff and just praying. And it's good to be able to have that because you can learn it and you can go more than just the superficial route of coming into church and leaving church and say, well, what they say, or God was saying something to me, or that was a really neat quote, or whatever. And then you can have that down, and it's wonderful. And a quote that I'd like to share with you that's been working on my soul for the last couple of weeks is from Clement the 11th, Pope Clement the 11th. And he's speaking to the Lord. I want whatever you want. I want because you want. I want as you want. I want as long as you want. Now you could unpack that for days and weeks and months. I want whatever you want. I want because you want. I want as you want. As you want. Not as I want. And I want for as long as you want. And so as we come and celebrate today, especially this month of Mary, who prayed that perfectly, didn't she? She prayed that perfectly. That she set her life aside and said, this is my life. Or this is what my plans are, my desires, but I'm going to avail myself to you. So I set myself aside, and I want what you want. And I will give myself to you in that. This last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was blessed to be able to go to the Twin Cities, and all those who were on net, who are now priests, were invited to come in for a couple of days of just retreat and brotherhood and sharing. And it was a great thing because I saw them trying to live that prayer out in their life, which encouraged me to do that, which I want to encourage you to do that, live that prayer out in our life. I want whatever you want, Lord. And one night we had a banquet to raise money for this wonderful ministry in the Catholic Church called NET Ministries. You can Google that, NET, N-E-T, Ministries. And it's evangelistic outreach within the Catholic Church, encouraging youth to enter into a relationship with Christ and to pray and to be changed by Christ and to be discipled in the church. And there at the banquet, it was wonderful. There were testimonies of children, or the youth giving those testimonies of priests who became priests, were influenced on that. And at the end of the night, one of the young men from Texas, 22 years old, he got up there to sing. No microphone. There's like 450 people in this banquet room. And he began to sing the Ave Maria. It was, I've never heard anything like it. It was amazing. No microphone needed, and just this incredible voice. I found out later that he's been on Broadway, and he's, paid to sing. And he felt called to that, so he gave that up. He set his life aside because God called him to serve on this youth ministry for a year and to give his life. And that's just an example of setting our lives aside. And he could have, and he's probably still can write his own ticket and get work and all that. But I was blessed by that, just as I was by many other people who had set their life aside to follow what God truly wanted in his love for us. Ego. Edging God out. Ego. Edging God out. I've edged God out a lot in my life. I do it to this day. Edging God out. Statistic about 20 years ago now, the average amount of time a father spends in meaningful relationship with his son or daughter each day, 27 seconds. Edging God out. Edging God out. Sharing with someone, I've shared this with you before. Yeah, Father John, I watch, an hour of the news or read the newspaper, and I get down, depressed. Duh. It's basically really bad news. So why do you subject yourself to that? Edging God out. Well, let's glorify how Satan is ripping us apart. What if we put an hour in the good news? What if we threw the TV out and said, I'm going to go for the good news, spiritual reading, I'm going to get with other people, I'm going to go hiking, whatever, anything that's positive, and replace that with an hour of good news. Edging God out. Putting your life aside and saying, God, do you want me to really delve into an hour of bad news each day? Do you really want me to do that? Or do you want me to change? And putting that before the Lord. One of the youth back there was talking about, they had video clips of youth who had been touched on net retreats, and this one, he was just a real kid. He goes, yeah, I like playing PlayStation all the time, you know? And he was talking to us, but then I considered it just kind of makes me angry. Video games and all that, edging God out. Could be many things. Hours on the computer. I mean, a computer can be good, or it can be for ill. But what does God want? Facebook. I've been on Facebook. I'm off of it now because I was just wasting time. It's pretty. I mean, you can get pictures and send stuff, but I felt like God was calling me off of it just for many reasons. One of it's pretty superficial, and I'm not seeing the people on it, and I'm not talking to them. It's not a in-flesh human being. Edging God out when we don't have those relationships with others. Texting. Texting when we're eating meals in family or together. How rude. How wrong. Answering cell phones when we're having meals. Wrong. Edging God out. Our egos. And we follow our egos to our own demise. I don't think this is God's loving plan for us. I don't think it is His plan for relationship. And if all His commandments were summed up in one word, that one word would be love. Love one another. Christ, who was sent by the Father, is the source and origin of the apostolate of the whole church. Vatican II. Christ, sent by the Father, is the source and the origin of the whole apostolate of the church. Jesus Christ, who is love. If Mary, I was praying about this, if she only had to say one word, Mary, the Mother of God, what do you think that word would be? Yes. I came to Jesus. That would be the word she'd say. Jesus. No ego. All Jesus. So here's what we're going to do. I encourage you in the future to bring journals. I think that's a great quote, that first quote. But now how are we going to get it if it's just we're trying to do it auditorily without writing it down? There will be, you will not get in trouble. You will be encouraged to bring journals if you want to write things down. But next week, and if you have your journal, I could ask this question, but you can remind each other. My question will be at the beginning of the homily. What is love? In one sentence. What is your definition of love? Because that's what we're talking about. Jesus says, love one another. And then seek to incorporate that and invite that in more fully in your life each day. To edge God in. Not to edge God out. Whatever He wants. Teresa, the little flower, says that in order to love you, God, I must borrow your love. I must borrow your love. It's 5:30 and you are love.